What goes good with neroli? Vanilla. One of my favorite combos that I make myself. Well, the earth makes it, and then I blend. The neroli and the vanilla makes a heavenly, divine combination. You can find it in the Etsy store. And that is related to what I'm onto lately, which is how we use our many senses to help regulate our nervous system, our body. Aromatherapy is actually one of the more prominent ways that we can influence our nervous system through our senses. I think it's something like 35% compared to 4 to 8% of some of our other senses. I forget what that percentage exactly is, so forgive me. But the point being that scent is very directly related to our memory and very directly related to our internal chemistry, which has to do with how our nervous system is operating. And of course, what we see and what we hear and temperature, all those things are also important and can influence our memory and our mood and our our emotional state, which is how you might think about your window into how your nervous system is doing. Is how is your body feeling, and how are those stories going? So I'm making the crazy loop there. How are those, in my case, often shit stories going on in your brain, in your mind, and however that is will give you a pretty good clue about what kind of state you're in. Now, it's not a direct, like you can be sort of daydreaming some pretty shitty stories and not necessarily be in a fully dysregulated state that matches that story, I should say, thankfully, or I'd be even more dysregulated. And if you're thinking a negative or a shitty story, it can attract other stories like it, and you can find yourself in a dysregulated state pretty quickly. As opposed to if you're already in a dysregulated state, you can use thoughts focusing on what you're grateful for, what you appreciate. Those kinds of thoughts can actually bring you back to a regulated state and out of that dysregulated state. And how that's related to smells is in the way, partly at least, in the way that smells are related to our memories. So if there is a smell that you associate with a good memory, that can be a great trigger or tool to help bring you into a more regulated state. And the reason I like vanilla with my neroli, or one of the reasons, it's my very loud vacuum back there working, is vanilla has been found to have a calming effect. Not universally, because nothing is that universal when it comes to our senses, but I think it's something like 68% of respondents found vanilla to be calming and soothing. Might even been higher than that, but that's pretty high in the land of scents. There are many that are very, all of our scents are, or our reactions to scents, I should say, are dependent largely on our experiences and our memories and associations. I'm going to pause this and come right back. So whether it's through your sense of smell or through your sense of sight or touch or taste, sound, my vacuum's making its way back in here even though I thought it was done in here. All of those are ways that we can influence our own nervous system and help keep ourselves more regulated, keep ourselves more calm, and we all have a bandwidth that can vary. And so, like, if you're feeling regulated and some extra noise like the vacuum comes in, it's not that big a deal. But if you're already feeling on the edge of overflowing your bandwidth, or spilling over your threshold of overwhelm, as I like to call it, then lots of things can help you bring yourself, back yourself down from that threshold. And one of those things that's very simple and easy, and that I hope that you have access to, is your sense of smell, that can be profoundly influential, have an immediate effect when you smell of either a familiar smell that has a positive association, or something like vanilla that has a relatively universal effect. And again, it's important to mention that you need to find the thing that works for you. Not everything works for everyone. Vanilla is something that works for a majority of people, but not everyone. And there are popular oils such as lavender oil, which are touted to be stimulating and calming, and that's because they tend to be balancing. But again, not for everyone and not all the time. And if you have a positive association with a certain smell like lavender, it can have a very positive calming effect or balancing effect on you immediately. And conversely, if you have a negative association with a certain oil, including lavender or even vanilla, it can give you an immediate negative reaction. So you want to pay attention to those subtleties and find the things that help you feel more calm, more regulated, more joyful. And if you care to share, I'd love to know what those are. If you want to put those in the description. As always, I thank you for stopping by. I thank you for being you. I'm ZGALA, the Art Angel, and this channel is here intending to help us all love ourselves a little bit more and be a little bit more alive. So thanks if you're endeavoring to do that. I'll be seeing you soon. Ciao for now.